Hi everybody, my name is Bree and welcome back to my channel, Bree's Arts. All right everybody, Happy New Year 2022. Oh my goodness. 2021 was a very exciting year for me on YouTube for sure. I started my journey back in March and my channel has grown so much, and that is all thanks to each and every one of you. I am so thankful for everyone for watching my videos and for all of your encouragement and all of your kindness. So for today's video, I figured that we would have a look back on 2021 and some of the DIYs that I did for you guys. So I have compiled a list of 21 of my favorite DIYs from 2021. So I really hope that you enjoy this. Sit back, grab a coffee or a glass of wine, whatever suits your fancy, and enjoy. Let's get into those DIYs. Here we go, DIY number 1. So I am going to use these little drawers again from Dollar Tree. We'll need 4 of them, and I'm just going to use the insides of them, so the smaller boxes for this project. Using my antique wax, I am going to apply this time with a paintbrush. And I only have to paint 4 of the sides, so you don't have to put the wax on the side with the heart on it, only because you'll never see that. Those are all going to be glued together. And then I will wipe off the excess with the baby wipe and use my handy dandy heat gun to dry it up. Okay, so taking some hot glue, we're going to glue those boxes together. And you see there I use the heart sides to glue them together. And then what we're going to do is stack them on top of each other. So just a little bit of a hot glue is good enough. You won't be moving it around too much. And so I didn't show the beginning of this, but I used some of the painter's tape to make little squares on each one of the boxes. So the sides will be about 1/4 inch on each side, and what you have to do is just continually move the tape for each box. You can see here how I'm moving the tape and lining it up with the other one, and then lining that up and then painting it. I hope that makes sense by just watching it. You just have to move the tape around, make sure it's 1/4 inch on each one of those squares, dry it up with your heat gun, and then you can move the tape over and put it on top, as you can see there. So I'm lining it up with the other side of the other box and then just painting that on. Gosh, I hope that makes sense. I think if you watch it, you'll figure it out. So once it's all dry, then you just pull out the tape, and again, those nice crisp lines, but you can see how everything is all lined up there, about 1/4 inch on each one of those little boxes. That worked perfect. Okay, so now I'm taking these decals from Cricut Design Space, and I'm spelling out the word home. So putting it on there, and you'll see here I get a little bit antsy in my pantsy and I pull off half of the decal. But that's okay, you can line it up pretty well with the rest of the decal, and it just went on no problem. So you do that with all 4 of the letters. H-O-M-E. And I love these little decals. They look like an old typewriter. They're fantastic. So nice. So now I am going to take some of the floral foam again and cut it down with my X-Acto knife, cut it down to size, throw it in there. And you'll see these succulents that I have here. I actually got them on Amazon. They were about $32 Canadian for 16 of them, so $2 a piece. It was a pretty smoking deal, and there were a whole bunch of different ones. I just love this. I think it's String of Pearls that it's called, and it just kind of drapes over the side. It's so pretty. and then fill it up with rocks. And you're all done, guys. Okay, DIY number 2. Now we are going to take 2 of these signs that you can get from the Dollar Tree. Now these ones are from Valentine's Day, but they're out in every season. I know that there were some St. Patrick's Day ones, some Easter ones. So we're just going to remove those burlap hearts on the front. And we are going to be using the back side of these frames. So I just removed the hanger and the staples that were holding the hanger on here. And I ended up actually cutting these down a little bit. I thought that they were a little bit too long, and then I wouldn't have to worry about the holes that the staples made at the very top there. So I just took my square from the Dollar Tree and my X-Acto knife. Now I actually broke my X-Acto knife doing this. It was old, so I do have a new one now, which is awesome. But you just have to score it a whole bunch of times, and really you just have to pop it right off. I ended up having to use my rotary tool a little bit there just to get through that cardboard. But if you have a good X-Acto knife, it shouldn't be an issue. Mine was just old and pretty dull. You can see I'm going over it multiple times. Oh, there's my little ladybug. Sucking up all the dust. I love that thing. It's just awesome. Okay, so again, with the white paint from Folk Art and a great big brush, we're going to paint the entire thing. It doesn't have to be full coverage. Again, we do like to have a little bit of distress and dimension. It's just a pretty light coat. And then taking my sanding block, I just wanted to distress the edges a little bit. Again, we're making it look a little bit old and worn. And I love that look. Now, snap. Like magic, 2 of them. 2 are done. Now these Wall Decals from Dollarama are gorgeous. I love them. I know that they come in a brighter color too, but I love this muted. It's like a taupey gray, light purple maybe color. And we're going to use the calla lilies on one side. And then I'm not sure what the other flower is called, but it is absolutely beautiful. Maybe it looks kind of, it's not really a poppy, but I'm not sure what it is. But we're going to use that on the other one. So this is going to be a set of 2. And they actually stick so well to these signs. Like, you don't have to put any extra glue on there. You can hardly even tell that they are Wall Decals because you can't really see the edges. They're nice and clear. They go on super smooth. Oh, I am absolutely in love with them. Now this quote is my absolute favorite. I must have flowers always and always. And Claude Monet said that. It's one of his most famous quotes, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So I printed this off with my Cricut, and we're going to put the beginning of the quote on one of the signs. That's why I say it's a set of 2. So the first part of the quote will go on the one side, and then the other quote will obviously go on the other sign. This is such a simple DIY, and I really think it just makes such a huge impact, and it's beautiful and high-end looking. It could be something that you bought at, Home Sense, or, a really nice home decor store. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, they're so pretty. And here we go, DIY number 3. And I am going to take one of these bamboo turners and create an oar. I am obsessed with beach decor. I live at a beach, so this was right up my alley. Now, taking some of this Cascade by Folk Art, giving it a very, very rough, light coat. I do the front and the back, and all of the sides and the edges as well. But again, it's just a rough coat because this oar is going to look old and worn. And what I am going to do is tape off a few stripes at the bottom of the oar, just to give it a little bit more color at the bottom. So I do a small stripe, and then there's a larger stripe you see at the very bottom of the oar. And I'm using Sage by Folk Art. It's a very, very pretty green color. And just going along the tape lines there to give it just a little bit more detail. And again, it just has to be a fairly rough coat. We're going to be sanding this thing down anyways. Make sure you get the edges. And just peel that tape off. And I just blasted it with my heat gun really quickly because I am going to do one more stripe in between those, so I didn't want the paint to be wet while I was doing that, obviously. So reusing the tape that I just used, we're going to create one more stripe, a thicker stripe, in between those two stripes. Using that pretty sage color, of course. And again, make sure that you get the edges and just peel that tape right off. Look at that, isn't it cute? Oh, looks great. So once the paint is dry, just give it a nice sand. These turners have such a nice curve on them, so it gives some great dimension after you sand them. And again, it's an oar, so you want it to look really weathered and old. Get all of the edges all the way up. If you pull off a whole bunch of paint, that's okay. Again, old oar. You can see how nice and rough that looks. Looks fantastic. And we're going to take some of this twine. I believe I got this at the Dollar Tree. It's a little bit of a thicker twine. And we're going to wrap around at the, I guess, the neck of the oar. Go around, 5, 6 times, however far you want to go up. And hot glue it down. Make sure you trim off the excess. And we're going to want to go over that hole as well at the top. So again, with the twine, wrap it around a whole bunch of times, going down. And same thing, using your hot glue, secure that down in the back. And again, with the lighter, we're going to take off any excess strings, clean it up a little bit. All right, so this wood palette I got at Dollarama. I have a whole bunch of them actually. I haven't seen them in stock lately. I did get them quite a while ago, but I use them all the time in my DIYs. I just think they're fantastic. And I'm going to take my white paint, and we're again just going to do a really rough coat. Make it look a little bit rustic, go all the way through, and then we're gonna distress it just a tiny bit with our Cascade color, just to give it a little bit of dimension and detail. Now, I am using this Oracle stencil vinyl, and we are going to put Sail Away With Me on each one of the 4 slats of the palette. And this stencil vinyl actually is amazing. It weeds so nicely. So I'm just going to take the stencil and put it onto the palette. Make sure you have your ore there just for reference to be sure that you're not covering up any of the letters or anything like that. So 1 word on each of the slats and secure that down. Sail away with me. What a cute little beach sign. Like I said, I live at a beach, so this is 100% my vibe. I guess I felt like showing you every single word that goes down. Make sure, again, line it up with your ore. I was a little bit too close to it, so put it on there for reference and then just smooth it down. And now again with our Cascade and our little dabby sponge thing, we are going to fill in all of the stencils. Now I do find that it is a lot easier to pull up your stencils when your paint is still wet, because then you really don't pull up any of the paint. Now in this particular craft it wouldn't have mattered because it's supposed to look old and weathered and worn. So if you did pull up a little bit of the paint, it adds to the character of the piece for sure. But this stencil vinyl just pulls up amazingly. It's fantastic. And I love stenciling because then you don't have to worry about the color of your vinyl. You just paint it whatever color you're doing your piece in. And you can see how easily it weeds out. And of course, I am going to just take the sanding block and just, you know, sand it down a little bit and line up my ore, take some hot glue, put it on the rope of the ore, and then just attach it to our sign. And it's all done. I just absolutely love these ores. They're so adorable. What a great way to use a bamboo turner, make it into an ore. Oh, it's fantastic. Look at that. Amazing. Love it. we go, DIY number 4. So I took this particle board little crate that I found at Dollarama, and we are going to paint this baby up with our black chalk paint by Folk Art. Now this particle board is difficult to paint because there are so many ridges and edges, and it's not completely smooth, obviously, because it is particle board. So it did take me quite a long time. I painted the front, the back, the sides, the inside, all of the edges, everything. And bam! You see, the magic of television took off about a half an hour of you watching me paint. And of course we're going to rough it up, bring out some of that wood color, go along all of the edges with our sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and just rough it up and make it look farmhouse. So you can see that I am pulling off quite a bit of the paint along all of the edges, and of course in those little handles. You see, it looks awesome. Nice and roughed up. Love it. And taking some Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree. We're going to paint those up completely black. And then, of course, we are going to distress the edges just so that everything is nice and cohesive. And these are going to be the legs on our little crate. Now, on my toilet, the flush is on the top. So that's the reason why I needed legs, so that you could still reach underneath the crate to flush the toilet. Always thinking ahead. You see here, I'm just roughing up the edges, sanding it up. And we're going to use some E6000 to attach these. And of course, we'll put on a dab of hot glue too. E6000 is for the long-term hold, and the hot glue, of course, for the immediate hold. So throw some E6000 on the bottom, and then some hot glue right into the corner, and just smush that right in there. And we'll do that with all 4 of the legs. Clean up any hot glue that smooches out the sides there. And there we go, all 4 on there. Perfect. Okay, this little plaque I got at the Dollar Tree. And we are going to use the Antique Wax by Folk Art and paint the whole thing up using a paintbrush. And really, you just have to do the top of it. You don't have to do the sides or anything like that. And we take our baby wipe and wipe off the excess. That is such a great tip. That is from Sammy at Unicorn Dust Designs. Shout out to Sammy. Now we are going to do a reverse stencil. So I did take some of my stencil vinyl here, and I spelled out the words "Hello, Sweet Cheeks," and just apply that to the center of our little plaque here. Again, this stencil vinyl is amazing, amazing. Now we're going to go over the entire plaque with our sheepskin again. And of course, we don't need completely full coverage. Again, farmhouse, gonna rough it up. We do go over the edges. And just weed off that stencil vinyl. Again, I always find that it's easier to weed it off when the paint is still wet. Then it's not all stuck and then you don't pull out any of the paint around the stencil. But you see, again, oh, it just weeds off like butter. It's so satisfying to watch. I could watch this legit all day. And apparently, I feel like you should watch it all day too. Okay, sand up the edges, rough them up a little bit. Bring out that wood color. And just go over it as well, like the whole thing, to sand it down, just in case there are any little bumps in the paint. And then we are going to take some hot glue and attach our plaque onto the side of the crate. And you guys, that is it. How easy! And it's so cute! Ah, I can't get over it. So I guess I should give you guys a little bit of an update as to what has been going on with my family. I took some time off over Christmas here. If you were following my community tab, you know that my dad had a really serious heart surgery. And so I just wanted to kind of step back, you know, spend some time with my family. Thank you so much for all of your kind words, you guys. Seriously, it was a rough go. Like, we're pretty close to losing him. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't wanna cry, but I do wanna say thank you very much to everybody for all of your prayers, for all of your kind words. It means a lot to me. And I honestly think that, you know, it worked. Like, it really worked. So he's doing super, super well. He, you know, is walking around really good. He's back to almost his old self. He's still really sore and whatnot, but, you know, it's all about healing now. And since he's got his engine tuned up, I swear the man is going to live forever. So just thank you. Just really thank you so much. For all of your love, because it definitely made this a little bit easier. I'm not gonna lie. So I love you all so much. And with that said, you guys, let's get into DIY number 5. And here is the inspiration photo. It's beautiful. $34 in American, and that would be 43 in Canadian. And taking one of these wood pallets that I got at Dollarama, a circle that I got at Michael's, and these beautiful rub-ons that I got on Amazon. I will link below. These pallets are great. They're humongous. They're $4 each. And they're a little bit rough, so I did want to sand it down. And we're going to take our antique wax and cover the entire thing. Front, back, sides, the whole shebang. Use that baby wipe. Paint it up, paint it up. Look at that. It looks amazing, doesn't it? Oh. So with this circle, I am going to paint it up with some white chalk paint by Folk Art. I do give it 2 coats and I paint the entire thing. So front, side, back, again, the whole entire thing. Now I made this stencil on my Cricut. It says, "This is us," just like the inspiration piece. And I will have the font listed down in the description box. So taking our dabby brush, and we are going to paint this with Java by Folk Art, a really nice rich brown. And dab up and down, don't go side to side, we don't want it to bleed. And of course we're going to remove the stencil while the paint is still wet. There we go. Now you guys, these rub-ons are stunning. They are absolutely gorgeous. Got them on Amazon. Again, I will link them below. I think I got 16 packages of them for 15 bucks. And I'm not kidding, they're gorgeous. And there's a whole bunch of different ones too. So, you know, sky's the limit. But if you can't find these on Amazon, or if you want to use Dollar Tree rub-ons, by all means, you can use whatever you want. This is only for inspiration, just like I took inspiration from the Kirkland's piece. Take inspiration from what I'm doing here as well. You can use whatever you want. I know that there are some beautiful gold rub-ons that you can find at Dollar Tree. Of course, the eucalyptus ones. Sky's the limit, guys. So I'm just centering this circle on my palette here, hot gluing it down. And voila. And taking these little clips that I also found at the Dollar Tree, I have some photos here that I use to line up where I want the clips to go. And this piece only fits 4 photos. I believe the inspiration piece was 6, so it is a little bit bigger, but legit, this cost me $6 maybe to make versus $43. So just lining everything up there. Now these clips do have little like pins in the back of them. So I just took my power drill here and I am going to clip off the pin so it's not sticking too far in the back. But that definitely gives it a lot of extra security. And just line everything up there, throw some hot glue in there, and stick the clip right on. Look at that. And that's it, you guys. Oh my goodness sakes. Now, I am going to put a hanger on the back. So just grabbing some twine. And I am going to use the top board of the palette as my guide and just throw some hot glue on there. String it across. Use your little finger protector. And you guys, that is it. Oh my goodness! It's so beautiful. to DIY number 6. Now this shutter is from Melissa at All Things Crafty. Her channel is fabulous. Oh, she's so innovative with her DIYs. So we're gonna take these planks that I got at Walmart. You can also find them at Dollar Tree, but I haven't been able to find them since forever. Some of these garden stakes that I got at Dollarama. And a whole bunch of these jumbo popsicle sticks that I got at Walmart. So what we're gonna do here, I have cut those wooden stakes down to size, and you can use whatever size you want. I don't honestly know the measurements, but we're going to glue the planks onto these wooden stakes. And when I lined it up, I think I did it a little bit too short, so I just kind of pulled it down just a little bit. It really didn't matter for the structure of it at all. So you can see there that it's not quite down to the end. And so for this shutter, taking our popsicle sticks, and I just measured them, and we're gonna cut them down to size. Now I did measure each one because it wasn't completely square. And so just having to go through, clip them down a little bit, and put them in so that they're nice and snug. And then throw a little bit of hot glue on the sides and place them in at an angle. And a little bit of more hot glue on the top there just for some added security. So we're gonna do this with all of our popsicle sticks. Again, cut them to size, sand them a little bit, doesn't fit, cut them again. And again. So you can see it took me a little bit of finagling. And just put them down on an angle. And you can see here I am lifting it up just to make sure that everything is nice and straight and really even. I love this shutter, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so cute. All right, all done. So I'm just taking my brush here just to get rid of all of those strings from the hot glue, because we are using quite a bit of hot glue on this. And there we go. I think they turned out pretty even, not gonna lie. So really, you guys, I should have painted everything prior to assembling it because painting was difficult. So just learn from my mistakes. Paint everything up before you put everything together. But here you can see I am painting all of the pieces here with my white chalk paint, getting into all of the crevices and whatnot. And it doesn't have to be a total, like a full coat. We are going to rough it up anyways, but you can see I painted the front and the back. All right, now using my Parisian gray. I've said it before, I love this gray. It's very coastal, gives it a nice distress here, makes the shutter look old and worn and beachy. Oh, just a fantastic touch on this shutter. So just make sure you distress all of the edges. There we go. So taking a wood dowel, I think this is one of the really long skewers actually from the Dollar Tree, and I just cut it down to size here and put some hot glue down through the shutters and secured it down in the center. All right, so these wood planks, I got them on Amazon. I used one in my last video and it said that they were unavailable, so I will still link them down below. Not sure if they're available or not. I don't know where else you would look for them, maybe on eBay or something like that, but these are amazing. I'm so glad that I got them. So I painted it up with my white chalk paint, and then using some of my Cascade, we're just gonna go over that white chalk paint a little bit heavier because I kind of wanted it to look like it was originally blue, and then the blue paint is chipping away and revealing the white underneath, if that makes sense. And of course, sand on the edges, give it a little bit more dimension, some character, add to that look of it being old and worn. And I printed this off on my Cricut using the 813 stencil vinyl. It says Beach House Open. And smooth it down with my little smoothie tool. And grabbing my dabby brush. And we are just going to dab, dab, dab over that stencil. Again, I wanted the sign to look very weathered and beachy, so it definitely does not have to be full coverage. And of course, taking the stencil off while the paint is still wet so that it doesn't pull up any of the paint. It just makes it a heck of a lot easier than if you let the paint dry, because then the paint just sticks to the stencil and it's much more difficult to remove. And again, that stencil vinyl weeds like a dream. So these shells I got at the Dollar Tree. They have two different kinds. They have like white ones that are primarily white, and then these that are kind of peachy colored or sand colored, I guess. And I just grabbed one and hot glued it to the side of the sign. And taking some jute that I got also from the Dollar Tree, we're gonna glue that jute cord to the back. Now I'm doing two separate strings because we are going to feed it through the top shutter there and kind of tie it in the back and glue it. So I didn't just want to use one solid string. So you see here I'm threading it through. And I wanted it to be kind of at an angle because, you know, it's an open sign. And sorry, it's a little bit out of frame. There we go. And just hot glue that down. And that is it, you guys. Oh my God, I love it. It's so cute. And let's do it with DIY number 7. This vase I got at the Dollar Tree, and what I'm going to do, just take some chalk paint, and I am going to paint the entire top portion of the vase, like probably about 3/4 of it with my white chalk paint. Now you can spray paint it if you want to. I actually kind of wanted the brush strokes to be showing because I did want this to kind of have an authentic ceramic look and make it look kind of way more handmade, I guess. And then I'm taking my Parisian gray, and we are just going to distress this just a little bit. Now I took my chippy brush here, and I'm just going to go around like the middle of the vase, not all the way up, because I wanted it kind of to go gradient a little bit, I guess, if that makes any sense. So I'm just distressing it, and going across with my chippy brush, kind of fading it out as I go up the vase. And of course, if you go a little bit heavy-handed with the gray, you can always go back with the white and, you know, make it look exactly how you want it to look. But look at that. Looks great. And now Nantucket Blue. Oh my goodness, you guys, I cannot wait for you to see what I've done with this. It's absolutely crazy. So taking some of my Nantucket Blue chalk paint, putting it into a bowl, and then I am going to use some of the baking powder that everybody's been doing on YouTube, just to give it that texture. And just mix that up really good. I just used a little craft stick. The ratio was about 1-to-1 for sure with the chalk paint to the baking soda. And if this is the texture that you are looking for your vase, that's all you have to do. But no, I needed more. So mix, mix, mix. And I'm taking this duster that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to snip off some of the fibers from this duster. The fibers are really, really fine. And just, you know, grab as many as I thought would be good. You can see the amount there. Now, you will notice that once I put it into the paint, those fibers absorbed a lot of the paint. So I do end up having to put in a little bit more paint just to give it a little bit of a better texture. And watch this. And then I dump it. Oh my, just a mess. It's all over my hands. But it's so worth it. So just mixing and mixing and mixing. And you see that amazing texture that it is giving this paint. And then I do add a little bit more baking powder to the mixture just to get, you know, the right consistency that I wanted. You do whatever it is that you want, but you guys, I'm so impressed with myself. I love this so much. So now I'm going to literally scoop this because it is very, very thick, and I'm just going to lay it down with my paintbrush. And I'm just spreading it out along that bottom portion of the vase. So you can see here, I'm legit scooping it on. It's very, very thick, and then just kind of spreading it around, giving it some amazing texture all the way around the bottom of the vase. And then at the top, like it's obviously not a straight line. I didn't want it to be completely straight. And just giving it that amazing texture. Just watch. It's, oh, I'm so happy with it, you guys. Dab, 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 glob, glob, glob. Scoop and plunk it right on there. And that Nantucket Blue, I've said before, it is my favorite color. It is so gorgeous. It's like a steely blue almost. But of course, if you don't have Nantucket Blue, or you don't like blue, or you want to do this in a pink or a gray or a yellow or a red, like whatever, this is all for inspiration. This just gives you a new technique to maybe use to cover one of these vases up. So you can see here, I'm just painting the bottom of the vase as well. And I have it upside down. This was a happy accident. I left it to dry overnight upside down, and check it out. The fibers with gravity kind of went down the vase. It is stunning. Stunning. I love it. And now DIY number 8. Now we are taking these adorable little palettes that you get from the Dollar Tree. They are a little bit rough, so I did end up sanding them down. I didn't mind a little bit of roughness, but these were rough. So using my sanding block from Dollar Tree as well, just giving them a quick sand. And taking my white chalk paint, I am just going to paint the tops and then those little bars that come down, I guess, in between the planks, I guess, of the coaster, essentially. And then I am going to paint all of the sides up as well. I did not want to get into the middle. It's very difficult to get into the middle, number one. And number two, I liked a little bit of that natural wood kind of poking through. So there you see all 4 of them painted up. And this tissue paper, I just found it at the Dollar Tree. How perfect is this paper? It's so gorgeous. I love the plaid. And so what I'm going to do, we are going to decoupage. I'm just cutting out the tissue paper to fit onto the little coasters there. And you just kind of have to eyeball it. Like, they line up pretty good on there with the 2 lines, I guess, like they go into the corners and whatnot. I just loved this pattern. It's just so perfect for my veranda. Now, keep in mind too, Dollar Tree has tons of different tissue papers or napkins or anything else that you want to put onto these coasters. So of course, Mod Podging and laying those down. I did leave out one of these slats. It's the second from the bottom because I do not want the tissue paper to be Mod Podged on that one. I want to leave that white, and I do that for each and every one. So I'm just trimming it up, and then I will cut with my X-Acto knife in between each of the slats to get the paper loose, if that makes any sense. So basically just cutting away or cutting down in between the slats so that I can get in there with my sanding block and I can sand away the excess. So here I'm sanding it down, and you see you go in downward motions. You don't want to go upward or back and forth because you will crinkle or even remove the tissue paper. So just go in downward motions and you will get off all of the excess on the edges. Now, in between the slats, I did have to go back and forth, but I did it very, very carefully, very slowly, just to make sure that I didn't bring up any of that tissue paper that was on. And you can see, like, just take off the slits, you're good. It worked out absolutely perfectly. And you can see there that I did leave one of them completely white. So you do that to all 4 of them. And then of course, Mod Podge over top. These are going to be coasters. So the Mod Podge seals it in. You know, hypothetically, you're going to be putting cold drinks on there, right? So you don't want any of the moisture from the glass that you put down to wreck your coaster. And then the Mod Podge also, you know, adheres the tissue paper even better onto the coaster. I absolutely love this technique. I decoupage everything. And the tissue papers and napkins at Dollar Tree are gorgeous. So many options, so many different patterns. Love. So here I am, I'm just sanding it. I think this is the second one that I was doing. So just giving you another demonstration of what I did before. There we go. And now, of course, I am going to take a little bit more white paint and my chippy brush. I just wanted to distress it down just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more dimension, a little bit more character, make it look, you know, old, worn, you know the drill. Oh, I love these, you guys. I just think they're so cute. Okay, so we are going to stencil on here. So the words that I used are relax, unwind, chill, and calm. Those were the words for each one of the coasters, because really my veranda is a place to relax, chill, unwind, and be calm. And using the Nantucket blue, look how perfectly it went with this tissue paper. You guys, I cannot get over it. How awesome. So here again, you know, just doing the stencil with the 813 stencil vinyl. I got it on Amazon. I will link it down below. And I'm using my Debbie brush from the Dollar Tree. I've said it before, you guys. This stencil vinyl, it weeds like a dream, no bleeds. How gorgeous. So of course, because I did paint over the words, we're going to put one more layer of Mod Podge. I want to make sure that these do not get ruined by any type of beverage that might be sitting on them. So, you know, the more Mod Podge layers you put on, the better, just to protect them. And you guys, that is it. How easy is that? And how cute are those? Let's go, DIY number 9. Now I'm finally using these cute little boxes, I guess, or decor pieces that you get at the Dollar Tree. And what we're gonna do here is struggle. So these embellishments, you guys, I don't know if they're welded on. I don't know what they're doing, but holy, I could not for the life of me get them off. I used my little scraper thing, and then I used the heat gun, and I used the screwdriver, and I'm trying to pry these up. And then once I finally did get them up, they just completely damaged the top of these little boxes, which is a shame because I really like, you know, that beveled crisscross that's on them. I was going to use them for this project, but it is what it is. You got to make do with what you got, right? And this cloud one was even worse. Oh my goodness. It just came off and it just damaged this box so horribly. So good thing there is a top and a bottom to this project. And of course, just, you know, give it a blast with the heat gun to take off those little labels. Now, you want to make sure that you sand these down on the edges because those little stars and little clouds, they are kind of raised off of the sides, and you don't want to see those through the paint. So sand them down, and then I am going to paint this up with my thin white chalk paint. I gave it 3 coats, inside, outside, bottom, top, everything, the whole shebang. Paint that sucker up and paint it up. Paint, 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 and bam! All done. You don't need to see me paint for a solid 20 minutes. So I'm just using this little wood round that I got, I'm pretty sure it was from the Dollar Tree. It came in a package of, I think there were 2 rounds, 2 squares, maybe some rectangles. Hearts maybe. And I just painted it up, and we're going to use that to cover up that damage. So I got these square wooden dowels at Dollarama. I'm so happy that I bought a couple packages of these because I have not seen them since. So I hope they come back in stock because they are super useful. And I painted them up with my white chalk paint, and now we're just going to distress this up a little teeny bit using our Parisian Gray by Folk Art. You guys know that I love to use this color to distress. It gives it a nice little light distressing effect. I don't like to go too heavy when I'm distressing. So, like sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm pretty cautious. So just use that with my little, I think it's called a stencil brush, and that's from the Dollar Tree as well. But it gives it a nice texture and makes it, look a little bit more weathered and gives it more character. Okay, so now we are going to assemble what is going to be a lantern. And we're going to use our E6000. I'm going to put that on the bottom of each one of these little wooden dowels. And then what I'm going to do is take some hot glue, and I'm going to like smush it into the corner, like going up, so that the glues don't mix. So hot glue for the immediate hold, E6000 for the permanent hold. And of course you're gonna get some, globs of hot glue poking out. So just make sure that you clean those up really good. And we are going to do that to all 4 of our wooden dowels here. Again, E6000 on the bottom, and then hot glue up the corner, and get rid of all the hot glue, that bulges out. And then we are going to, I just used hot glue. This is for the top of it anyways. I wasn't super concerned about putting the E6000. I probably should have, so don't be lazy like me. Use the E6000. And then just taking that circle, I just hot glued that to the top to cover up that damaged portion, and it worked like a charm. So now I'm just finding the center of this little circle here, because I am going to drill a hole right through the top of this. So, measure it up, find the center, grab your, power drill and drill a hole. Yeah, drill that hole. Perfect. And so I have this little wooden knob. I got it, like a whole package of them off Facebook Marketplace. So this just happened to be in there. So I'm just painting that up again with my white chalk paint. I did a couple of coats, probably 3 coats. And then I'm just putting the screw from the knob through the top of our lantern here. And then we're just going to screw the knob on top. Make sure it's nice and tight, and voila. Okay, so I have these little wooden, I don't know what you would call them, like little wood thingies. I got them on Amazon actually. And so I'm just measuring them off because I wanted to give this lantern just a little more, pizzazz. So I measured off a piece, and then just using that as a guide, using my miter shears, chopping these all up, and then we are going to hot glue them onto our lantern here. Just about maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch down from the top of the lantern, and from the bottom as well. I just eyeballed it, you guys. If you want to measure, you go right ahead, but eyeballing. And I did that to all 4 sides. I legit love how this lantern turned out. It's kind of like beachy looking, you know, and that's kind of my vibe, of course, but it looks so high end. You could pay like 30, 40 bucks in a store for this. And it was like $5. To DIY number 10. So this I saw at Walmart there, and it's $40, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I was like, I can 100% make that. So just taking 4 of these little boxes that you can get at the Dollar Tree, I just sanded them up. They tend to be just a little bit rough. And then I am going to use the E6000 and some hot glue. So you guys know E6000 for the permanent hold and hot glue for the immediate hold. And we're just gonna, you know, smush them together. Now, the thing about these boxes too is that I had to go, like I have a stash of them, and I did have to go through quite a few of them just to get ones that actually did, like were the same size. It was tricky, but I did find 4 that were pretty much the same size. And so what I'm doing here, just taking some wood filler and going through, filling in the cracks as best as I can here. Now, again, like I said, they're not exactly square, so I couldn't get them perfect, but they were good enough for me. And you can see I started with the popsicle stick to spread it, and then I'm like, nah, I'm using my fingers. Let's stop messing around here. So just trying to fill in all of the cracks on the sides as well. And then we are going to set that aside to dry. And then I took another one of the centers of those little drawers, and I just tore it apart because I wanted to make sure that nothing could fall through the drawers of my little, you know, jewelry box thing. So I'm just cutting down the pieces so that they will fit inside each one of those boxes, and we can seal up that hole. And just use some hot glue and put it in there. It actually worked out really, really good, you guys. And I'm showing all 4 apparently. And there we go. So here, after the wood filler is all dry, just sanding that down, making it nice and smooth. And it actually worked out really, really well to, you know, hide those cracks. And I did the back too, like the whole thing. It didn't completely hide it, but it was good enough. Sand, 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 sand. All right, now we are going to paint up all of the drawers with our white chalk paint, inside, outside, front, back, sides, everything. And a snap. Look at that, all done. And now I am going to make my own stain because I thought that just using the Antique Wax by Folk Art, it was a little bit too dark. So I'm using the Antique Wax, and then I am going to use a little bit of a color called Sandstorm, and that's also by Folk Art. It gives it kind of a, you know, a gray kind of look, I guess. It's a brownish gray. And then mixing that up, and I found that that was just a little bit too light now. So now I'm adding some dark brown and some water to create this stain. And I think it came out really pretty. It's such a nice color. And then with having the wax and the water in there, it doesn't dry as quickly. So it's basically just like the wax. It worked great, you guys. I love it. So I'm going to cover the entire outside of it, putting it on first, then spreading it around with the baby wipe. And I just love how this color turned out. So I did paint that whole thing. And now to recreate the pattern that was on the front of each one of the drawers in the inspiration piece, I'm just using these Wall Decals from Dollar Tree, and they were perfect. So I just traced it out and then cut out a square. Now there's only 2 patterns. I know that the inspiration piece, it had 4 different patterns on each of the drawers, but this worked out so perfect. So just sticking those on there centered. And then I am just going to sand the edges down, going in a downward motion. And then I do end up kind of distressing it with the sanding block on the top as well, just so it's not as bright and it gives it, you know, a little bit more of a worn look. So we're going to do that to all 4 of the drawers. And then I am putting, I did put 2 layers of Mod Podge over top just to seal those stickers down so that they weren't going to come off. And it worked out really well, you guys. So these beads I got at Dollarama. These are awesome. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of beads in there, squares and circles, and this one has like some ridges. So all I'm doing, and I don't know why I did it this way, you guys. I usually put it in my foam thing with a skewer to do my beads, but I used the same stain that I had made before. And now to make little legs for our little stand, I just used some cubes from the Dollar Tree, painted up in the same stain. And here I'm just putting the knobs on. And these are little brads that I've had in my stash forever, just to cover up the hole in each one of our little knobs here, just to kind of give it a finishing touch. So just a little bit of hot glue in there, stick the brad in, it worked perfectly. And I would definitely suggest not just using hot glue to put the knobs on, definitely super glue. I used hot glue for this purpose, but then when I pulled on it, the knob came off. So definitely use super glue. And that's it, you guys. Like, look at that. Isn't it so cute? So here is the side-by-side. The one from Walmart was like 40 bucks and I did mine for $6. Insane. I absolutely love it. Okay, you guys, I hope that you are enjoying these DIYs that I've done throughout 2021. I just wanted to pop in here really quickly just to mention that in my last video, I did say that we were doing some fundraising for the food bank through my office, like through my day job. And I wanted to let you guys know that we, as you know, a YouTube community, raised $115. That is amazing because if you recall, my employer is going to match all of the donations. So in essence, we actually raised $230 for the food bank. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who donated. You are all so amazing, and I so appreciate your support in helping me spread just a little bit more joy over the holiday season. Now, with that being said, you guys, let's jump back into those DIYs. Okay, and with that, DIY number 11. So this I've seen, I believe it was on the Hobby Lobby website, but I did see it on Pinterest and I loved it, so I thought I would give it a whirl. Now I'm taking these 3 pumpkins that I got from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to recreate that little decor piece. Now, that little decor piece is way smaller than what I'm creating, so this is pretty fabulous, you guys. So my first step here is I'm just going to cover the back of the, I guess it's the, I don't know, medium-sized pumpkin with some craft paper. Really, you guys, I should have done this at the very end because I'm going to be painting this, obviously, so kind of hard to keep the paint off of it once it's there, but it's all good. So I just hot glued the craft paper to the back of the pumpkin and sanded down the edges so that it was nice and smooth, and we won't have to worry about getting glitter all over our project. Sand, 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 there we go. So that hole at the top, I'm just using my wood filler here. Again, this wood filler is awesome because it goes on pink, and then when it's dry, it turns like a natural wood color. So it's awesome. And this is a placemat that I got at the Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do here is just take my glue stick, also from DT, and I'm just going to put glue all over my pumpkin. A really nice heavy layer of this glue. And stick my placemat on, just, you know, smush it down there. And make sure that it's adhered really, really well. And if you miss a few spots, you know, just throw some glue on there, hold it down, good to go. And then I just use my scissors to cut off the excess of that placemat. It's plastic, so it cuts super, super easy. Just cutting it up. And then, of course, to get the closer to the pumpkin, just using my little craft knife there. Potentially, possibly, we're gonna get that. There we go. Oh my goodness. And so now I'm just using my white chalk paint by Folk Art and just, you know, painting this up. So the paint actually also helps to, you know, make sure that the placemat is solid on the pumpkin, because as it dries, obviously, you know, it's paint, so it will go and it'll be nice and adhered to the pumpkin. And then I'm just going to sand it down just a little bit, just to bring out that color that was in the placemat previously. So a little bit of gold pokes through here. And just wipe off all of the chalk dust. All right, so for our second pumpkin, I am going to take these half wood beads that I got on Amazon, and we're going to go all the way around the perimeter of the pumpkin, hot gluing those half wood beads all the way around. I love this. I love how this turned out, you guys. It is so stinking adorable. So again, just, you know, hot gluing. I'm so sorry that I'm showing you all of this, you know, editing. Okay, and then using my chalk brush, I am just going to paint this pumpkin up in white as well, and just kind of, you know, like smushing the paint in where the beads are to make sure that the paint gets into all of the grooves and the nooks and crannies and crevices and all of that jazz. And then taking some of my antique wax by Folk Art and my chippy brush, I'm just going along the beads there just to give them a little bit more dimension, you know, make it look a little bit more old and worn and distressy. And it just makes those beads really pop. There we go. Okay, so now for the tall pumpkin, I'm taking this sign, it's divided, obviously, popping out all of the staples in the back that are holding those pieces together. And then what we're gonna do is take some craft sticks and just glue these pieces together so that they make one solid pumpkin. So, you know, I used, I think it was three or four maybe craft sticks, just to make sure that everything is all connected. And then you can see there, they didn't line up perfectly. You know, it's Dollar Tree stuff. So I'm just cutting off the excess just to make sure that it's all like, you know, rounded. So it looks like just one solid pumpkin. And the bane of my existence, and probably a lot of yours too, getting that glitter off of the top there, just scraping it off with my scraper tool. And now taking my glue stick again, we are going to adhere some of beautiful scrapbook paper that I got in a package at Michael's. Now in Canada, there's like a 30% off coupon that comes out every week or every 2 weeks, whatever. And so the pack of scrapbook paper was really super inexpensive. And so obviously just cut off the excess, and now taking some of my braided rope from Amazon to cover the stem, which is actually called a peduncle. I think I'm pronouncing that right. One of my subscribers told me that in the comments. So, you know, a little bit of trivia. And so you can see there I put a little stick so that the middle pumpkin is a little bit higher than the other ones. And then I am going to just hot glue those all together. And taking some more of my braided rope. I will have the rope linked down in my description box for you guys. I'm just going to go around 3 times, and then I don't do a knot. I just hot glued them because I'm going to do like a pretty bow, like attach a pretty bow on top of that, and it'll hide all of the hot glue that I'm using here anyways. So just hot glue that down using my finger protector, and then cutting off all of the excess just like that. Isn't it so cute, you guys? Oh my goodness, I just love this. So here I am just making a really super simple bow with the braided rope as well. Oh, I had to try it twice, it looks like. That's much better. And then we're just going to hot glue that to the middle of that pumpkin there. And then cut off the excess of the tails. There we go. Looks so good. Oh my goodness. And now taking some of these, I guess they're like chalkboard tags, and I printed off the word grateful off of my Cricut. That was right from Cricut Design Space, just so you guys know. And then just putting that on there, tucking that in under the bow, and that is it. I love these pumpkins, you guys. They're so like high-end and classy looking. Like, I just absolutely love how this turned out. Love it. And on to the next one, DIY number 12. Is inspired by Annalie Ashby. She is amazing. She was Heidi Samble's creative champion last month, and she is hilarious. You need to check out her Instagram because, oh my goodness, like, I love her sense of humor. She's so funny. And so I'm taking these wood blocks, I guess, that you can get at the Dollar Tree. They always seem to be there, a whole bunch of different colors. I just happen to have a couple of white ones here. And Annalie she said that she ripped a 2x4 in half. So hers would have been like 2x2 pieces of wood, but these worked out perfectly. So the measurements that I use, the bottom one is 11.5 inches, the middle is 9.5, and the top one is 7.5. And you'll notice they're a little bit rough, so I had to sand them down a little bit just to make them nice and smooth for when I paint them. And just sand, sand, sand. I swear I go through these sanding blocks like crazy. I need to stock up. I need to head over to Dollar Tree and grab like 10 of them, I swear. I'm a rough sander. And oh my goodness, the ladybug. So, oh, this poor ladybug. You know, she's doing her job, and then bam, like, what? I had no idea what happened. And I think she fell off my craft table and I broke it. So I do have to tape her up. She's still working really well, but poor thing, she's had it rough. So now we're just taking some white chalk paint, and I know it's white already, but it's kind of glossy. So I wanted that matte finish. And so I'm just painting the one side of each one of these little blocks that we have here with the white chalk paint. And so I printed these, I'm doing a reverse stencil. So I printed these decals off on my Cricut. This is American typewriter font, and just smoothing it out, and it's going to say, "Hey, they're beautiful." And I thought that, like, if you wanted to have a pair of them, I would do, "Hey, they're beautiful," and then, "Well, hello, handsome." I thought that might be like super cute. Or if you wanted to make that for somebody like your son or, you know, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, thought that would be super cute. And now, of course, taking our black chalk paint, and we're going to go over all of our letters here in our stencil. And again, you just need the one coat. Then it's all good. And I always like to take my stencils off while the paint is still wet so that it doesn't pull up any of the paint that is surrounding the letters. So it's nice and crisp. I love watching people weed vinyl. I think it's so satisfying, especially like this, because the letters just magically appear. It's fabulous. I don't know. Am I weird? Tell me down in the comments. Does that make me weird? I just find it so super satisfying. And now we're just going to paint up all the rest of the little blocks here. Again, this black chalk paint is fantastic. And because I wanted it to look a little bit more distressed over the letters too. So I just grabbed my chippy brush, a little bit of black chalk paint, and just lightly feathered over them, just so that, you know, it all kind of looks cohesive and blended. It almost looks kind of marbled if you look nice and close at it. So I really like this effect for sure. And don't mind my big head. My big head always makes an appearance in all of my videos. There we go. You're welcome. I swear I will get a better angle once I can get a better setup in my craft room. There we go. And we are going to sand these down. And you don't have to sand them very much. Like, I only used one layer of the black chalk paint, so a quick light sand, and you can see the edges are popping out, dimension, character, all of that jazz. And we'll do that to all three. and distress them as much as you want. If you want to leave it like completely black, go for it. Like, you know, you do you. This is again for inspiration, just like Annalise DIY totally inspired me. Now hopefully I can inspire you. And apparently I wanted you to see the entire sanding process. So there you go, guys. And we're going to take E6000 and we are going to attach these together. So use the E6000 for the permanent hold. And while the E6000 is drying, we always use some hot glue as well, and that's for the immediate hold. And make sure that you don't mix the glues, because if you do, supposedly what I've heard is that they lose their effectiveness and won't work as well. So we're going to do that to all three here. Put them all together, E6000 and hot glue. And that is it. How easy. And it's so pretty. I love it. I love it. And now on to Lucky 13. Okay, so taking one of these palette signs that I got at Dollarama, I'm just going to sand it down. It was a little bit rough, you know, like in the creases and whatnot. And so just getting rid of some of the splinters. And using my Waverly Antique Wax, just going along the entire thing. I'm pretty sure I did just the front. And did I do the entire back? I don't remember if I did the whole back or not, but you can if you want to. And just make sure that you get in all of the grooves and all of the sides of each plank. And then taking one of these wood plank signs from Dollar Tree, I'm also going to cover it with the antique wax here. Now you can see I just did a square on it. I don't know what I was thinking, but I do end up painting the whole thing with the antique wax. And I cut this stencil off on my Cricut with my Oracle 813 stencil vinyl, and I'm just placing that on this wood sign. And you can see here that I did go all the way across with the antique wax there. And now taking my chippy brush, just using it to give a really, really, you know, rough coat of the white chalk paint, just making sure you get the entire stencil so that you can see the letters, but you can see how I do not go all the way to the edges. I want it to be a little bit more, you know, rustic looking. And then of course, weeding out the stencil vinyl to reveal the stained wood underneath. I absolutely love how this turned out, you guys. It's so pretty. And you guys know I love watching people weed vinyl. I could do it all day. Look at me go. That's some good weeding. And it says, Happy Holidays. Isn't that so great? Oh, and there's my son. Jeez. Always got to make an appearance. And so here you can see, this is the woodland assortment that I got from Solo Wood Flowers. And these flowers are absolutely stunning. The really nice thing about Solo Wood Flowers too is that they do have dyes so that you can actually, you know, dye them and paint them and whatever and make them even more stunning. I just really liked the natural look for these DIYs for sure. And just so you know too, if you're interested in purchasing some of these solo wood flowers, I do have a link down in my description box. So if you click on that, then it will take you to the website so that you can browse all of their beautiful flowers. And so here you can see, you know, just throwing it all down with some hot glue. I always arrange it first. And these little berry picks I got at the Dollar Tree. So I just clipped off a few of the sprigs here. Now, I don't know what was going on with these. You'll see, it was a little bit frustrating actually. My glue gun was maybe a little bit too hot for these. I don't know if they were melting, but they just were not staying. I literally had to hold them forever. And if you watch the one that I'm holding there at the top of the screen, you can see it's moving. And then I place it back down. My big head's in the way, but you see it just kept on moving and they just wouldn't stay put. Now, you know, patience is a virtue, obviously. So I just had to like re-glue, hold it down, and like continue to hold and hold. It was so weird. And so I'm just doing the same thing here. You know, I had arranged them previously to see what worked and how, you know, it would look pretty. And oh, it's just, I can't even find the words, you guys. It's so gorgeous. And so again, you know, just hot gluing my flowers down. Here we go, you know, hot gluing. They're so pretty, and they're so easy to manipulate as well, these flowers. Like, really easy to work with, and you know, you can cut them so that they fit in certain places when you're arranging them and whatnot. Like, I am a huge fan of these. I will definitely be using these in the future for sure. And like I said in my intro, I'm pretty sure that people have found them at the Dollar Tree. So hopefully, you know, your Dollar Trees are carrying them, you guys, and you can snafu some of these for some DIYs. And now, of course, just throwing in our little pop of color with these blue maple leaves. I'm loving the blue, you guys. You guys already know that blue is my favorite color, but I love that it's trending for fall. It's so great. It's so gorgeous. It's so me. Like, oh, it just makes me so happy. And, you know, just placing the leaves wherever I feel that they should go, kind of thing. And that's it. How easy is that, you guys? And I honestly feel like this is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever made. It's so beautiful. And continuing on with DIY number 14. And so I'm taking this, I think it's an 1x8 that I just, you know, snafu'd from the garage. And I am going to use my Antique Wax by Folk Art, and we're just gonna paint this up. So, you know, put some wax on there, and then I take a baby wipe and I will wipe off all of the excess. And the baby wipe also helps to spread the wax around so that you don't have to use as much product. So, you know, I don't like to waste things. And so I'm just going to do that to the top and the sides. I don't bother with the back. Paint that up, girl. All right, and now we are going to take this image that I got off of Cricut Design Space, I finally used my little pen, my gel pen or whatever, and I just printed this off on a regular piece of paper using the pen. It was slick, you guys. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love it. And so just taping that down, we are going to use some nails, and we're doing some string art today. Oh my goodness, you guys, I love doing string art. It's so much fun. It's super relaxing, and I think that they're just so pretty. It's really old school, but I really love it. So I'm just taking my pliers here. Sometimes I use my fingers for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm just going along the pattern, and I'm putting a nail in probably like every centimeter, I guess quarter inch, you guys would say, all the way around this maple leaf pattern. So like I said before, if you don't want to do a maple leaf, you can print pretty much any image that you want and do string art. I have done feathers, I have done arrows, I have done cacti, I've done a whole bunch of string art. And again, like you basically do whatever you want. So again, just going around the entire image here, and please use the pliers. The pliers are a good idea. Then you don't smash your fingers with the hammer, and you have a lot more control too as to where you put the nails. So you can see here, I did want you guys to see kind of exactly what I'm doing. You don't want to have the nails too far apart because you want to be able to make sure that the whole entire image can be filled in, but you also don't want the nails too close together because then it becomes really complicated when you're actually stringing, you know, the string around all of the nails. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I am going to be taking the image off. So just taking the tape off, and then I will just essentially rip the paper right off, and it will just leave the design there. So it works really, really well. And so I got this set of mini yarn from Dollarama, and I'm just going to use the red colored yarn here. I'm tying off a knot, putting it onto the first nail where I want to start, and then just doubling that up so that we can get started with stringing the maple leaf here. So I'm going to go around the border first. So essentially just going to each one of the nails, and you can see I'm turning it around the head of the nail as I go around the border. So you just go from nail to nail, twisting it around the top of the nail and continuing on. You want to make sure it's uniform, so you go around the outside of the nail so it kind of creates a straight line for your border. I hope this makes sense, you guys. You can kind of see what I'm doing there. My big fat fingers are always in the way, but you see how I'm going around the nail and then turning it and then going to the next one on the outside and then going around that one, all the way around the image. And you have to get the hang of it too. Like, you have to make sure that the string is nice and tight as you're going around each nail, because if you don't, it will just completely unravel and you will have to start again. So that definitely happened to me a few times, and but no biggie, you know, just keep on plugging away. Again, when you're doing string art, it is time consuming, but I find that it's relaxing, and you know, just stringing along there. And then I went down the stem, of course, back up. And then we are going to, I just had to cut off that excess there. Oh, you see, it unraveled. So I had to go again. And you'll see here, I used my teeth to hold the string. So with this particular string art, I am just doing it willy-nilly, like no rhyme or reason, just going around some nails, pulling it across, making sure that the entire thing is being filled in. And, you know, just, you can do short ones across, or you can do longer ones all the way across the image. Really, like I said, you know, no rhyme or reason, just do what looks good to your eye. And then you can see too, when you look back at it, you can see the spaces that you need to fill in as well. So then you just find some nails and crisscross and, you know, you're good to go. I love this. I love how it turned out. And sorry, I'm going a little bit out of frame here, but you know, I was so engaged in the process. I honestly wasn't paying attention to filming, so it goes out of frame every now and then, but I know you guys will forgive me. You see how everything all gets filled in, going across, finding those holes, filling them in, and good to go. And you can fill it in as much as you want. So here I'm just ending my string because I feel like the leaf is done. So I'm just doing a little knot here and finding a nail, pulling it tight, and I am going to double that up, and that's it, you guys. Like, it's just, it's so easy, and I think it just looks beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. I've wanted to do this for quite a while on my channel, and I was so happy that I finally did. All right, so now I printed this off on my Cricut. If you know the Canadian National Anthem, then you will know that this is a lyric from that. I thought it was so appropriate and beautiful because really, glorious and free, that is Canada to me. So I just love it. And so we're just, you know, putting on this decal, getting her done. I love this sign. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So beautiful, so Canadian. All right, so for our finishing touch, I am going to use some of the nautical rope that I got from the Dollar Tree, and we are just going to go around the edge of our sign here to create kind of a frame. And I just thought that this really finished the piece off, gives it a fantastic kind of rustic detail to it. And I was able to go around the outside of the piece twice. It was just the perfect thickness. So, you know, throw on some hot glue, put your rope down, round and round we go. And one piece, actually, like one of the pieces of the rope was almost perfect going around this. And snip off the excess and good to go. And the final thing for this amazing piece is just to put a sawtooth hanger on the back. So marking off where the screws go, use a small drill in some pilot holes, and then securing that sawtooth hanger on with the screws there. And that's it, you guys. I absolutely love this. I think it is so beautiful. Please let me know what you think. It's just so pretty. Oh, I love it. DIY number 15. Now these wooden planks I get at Dollarama. I am going to cut off the bottom here. Snap. Magical. Because I only wanted to use 3 of those slats. So I'm just taping down the hanger, the twine hanger there, just so it doesn't get in the way. And I am going to paint the whole thing up with my white chalk paint. So, and if you don't have a Dollarama, you can absolutely make this out of those wood planks from Dollar Tree and some painter sticks in the back, like super, super easy. I'm just lucky that we have them at Dollarama and I don't have to do that. So now I'm just taking my Parisian gray from Folk Art and I'm just distressing just a titch. Again, always giving it that little extra touch, a little bit more dimension, making it look a little weathered. And now this napkin, again from Joe. It is so beautiful. And I got this little jar from Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to, again, take the first 2 plies of the napkin off of here, like the white plies. And we are going to measure it out on this jar. So I just rolled it, like super simple, not really difficult, you guys. Just roll it up, kind of, mark it off to where, it kind of ends, and then rock and roll, cut it down. So again, with our Mod Podge, you can see the thickness of the layer that I do use on there. Like, it's generous, but it's not crazy because you don't want to completely saturate the napkin so that it tears. So you can see here, putting it on nice and straight, dabbing it down. Don't rub it really hard because you will definitely tear the napkin. Trust me, I've done it multiple times. And again, just, going around, putting the Mod Podge down, tapping the napkin down all the way around our cute little jar. Like, isn't that napkin so gorgeous? Joe, seriously, thank you so much. You sent me some beautiful things to work with. And so I also put some Mod Podge on the bottom of the jar, and you can see here I'm just kind of folding it down, putting some of the Mod Podge over top to secure it and kind of smooth it, using my fingers, smooching it down, you know the drill. And then I do blast it with my heat gun to help it dry just a little bit. And it also, when like the Mod Podge is almost dry, it's a little bit easier to tack down to the glass as well. It's kind of like eyelash glue. You know how you have to kind of wait until it's a little bit dry and then you put your lashes on? Kind of the same concept. Okay, put another layer of Mod Podge over top, and then I am just going to put that hanger back onto the jar. So now I'm taking one of those little hooky things. What do they got? Eye hook, I believe. And I just marked the center of that top plank there so that I can put or screw the eye hook into the top plank, because that's what the jar is going to hang from. And then I just kind of pry it open with my pliers out of frame and hook the jar on, and then pry it back with my pliers, and there you have it. How simple is that? And now taking some of these, what are they, fairy lights, I think, from the Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna thread that through the bottom seam there, like the bottom space there, and then stuff it into my jar so that the jar lights up. It's gonna be so pretty, you guys. And I just hot glued the battery pack to the back. Make sure that you are hot gluing the side without the screw so that you can actually change out the batteries. And because the battery pack is sticking out a little bit from the sign, I use some of those tumbling tower blocks just to, make up for that on the back so it sits flush on the wall. And that's it. Like, look at that. Oh, I can't wait till you see it all lit up, you guys. Oh, it's so pretty. And onwards to DIY number 16. And this one will blow your mind. Check out the price on this, 120 bucks. So I found these wood planks from the Dollar Tree. I actually probably picked up about 6 of them. So I'm just removing the tags here, and you can see the holes there. I'm just going to fill them with this wood filler. I love this wood filler. It goes on pink, and then when it's dry, it actually dries a natural wood color. So it's pretty sweet. And of course I sanded those down when they were all dry. And now using my black chalk paint, check it out. And done. So I painted all 3 of those up with my black chalk paint. I only painted the one side. And so I got this Waverly Antique Wax from Cindy, my lovely subscriber. Oh, she's so wonderful. She sent me so much great stuff. And I have these little, I think they were garden stakes that I got at Dollarama. And I just cut them down to the size of each one. Now, those wood planks are not perfect, you guys, so I did have to measure each one of them and then cut them appropriately. And so did those up with my antique wax, and now I'm just hot gluing the frame onto the sign. So going around, just putting a dab of hot glue, and you know what, you could use wood glue. I just didn't. You could though, but I didn't. And so I'm just putting the frame all the way around nice and snug on each one of these planks. Now I don't actually show it, but when I flip it over here, you'll see it pops out like that. And I just staple, oh no, I do show this. I use my staple gun so that I can adhere them really, really well. So I didn't really need to use the hot glue. And now you can see I had to stand up because, I don't know, I needed the brute force of my entire body to get these staples into this wood, supposedly. And there we go. And so here's what I don't show. I did run a bead of hot glue all the way around the back of the frame so that it was nice and secure. So I did that to all 3. There we go. Easy peasy, you guys. Okay, so I cut these decals out on my Cricut, and for some reason I am not able to share the decals that I create on Cricut Design Space. So if you are interested in these, please email me. My email is down in the description box, and I will email you the JPEGs of these 3 decals that I created. So you can see here, like, I put the first one on and then I put them side by side so that I can line them up, because if you're going to hang these on the wall or place them on, you know, a mantle or a shelf or whatever, you want to make sure that the sayings going across are nice and lined up. So you can see here, I'm making very sure that everything is very straight and just, you know, smushing it down there. See how nicely those are all lined up? And so I will do that with the final decal as well. Just grab my little sign there and put the decal on, make sure it's nice and lined up, and make sure it's very level, and then just smush it down. So don't you love these? Oh my goodness, they're so simple. Autumn skies, pumpkin pies, family ties, like, oh, So cute. I absolutely love these. And see, you can see the original is 120 bucks. They're much bigger, mind you, but still, I did mine for $5. Like, hello. And the next one, DIY number 17. All right, you guys, these paddle cutting boards made of bamboo from Dollarama. Oh my goodness, I bought like 4 of them. They are gorgeous and such high quality, it's crazy. So what we're gonna do is take our white chalk paint, and I am going to paint this the whole top and the sides. We don't have to worry about the back. And I only gave it 1 coat, only because I did want to distress it a little bit here. So you can see that I am sanding it down, giving it some character and dimension on the outside edges here. And of course in the corners too. Don't mind my big head in the way too, by the way. Oh my goodness. That's what we call crafting hair. So it's pretty fabulous, I gotta say. All right, so this DIY is super easy, you guys. I printed out this decal on my Cricut. Now, anyone with teenagers will appreciate this. It does say pantry, open 24/7, but close the damn door. Now, in my pantry, when you open the door, the light comes on. So when the kids leave it open, then obviously the light bulb burns out all the time. So I thought this was very appropriate. If you don't like the little curse word that's in there, don't put it in. This is merely for inspiration. It completely fits with my household, and I absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious. And we're going to take this braided rope that I got on Amazon. Again, I love this braided rope. It's really nice and clean looking. And I use it actually a lot on my projects. So I will link it down below. And we're just going to wrap up the handle, go around 5 times. I think I went around, maybe 6. And secure it down with hot glue. Cut off the excess. And then, of course, for my finishing touch, you guys know I'm obsessed with these wood cutouts. So just grab one of those and hot glue it on there. I like to do things a little bit off center too. Just gives it a little bit more character. And then we're going to create a little hanger on the back of our cutting board here. Just hot glue that down. And you guys, like, that one was quick and dirty, and oh my goodness, I absolutely love it. It's fabulous. Almost there, guys. DIY number 18. So this one I actually completely copied from this one that I saw on Pinterest. I thought it was so insanely beautiful. So I'm taking this artist panel. It's an 8x10. I got it at Dollarama, and I'm just going to put a layer of the, oh, no, first we need to sand it down because they are a little bit rough. And then I am going to put a layer of the antique wax onto the just the front of the sign, concentrating mostly in the middle. So slap some on there, and then I will take a baby wipe and just you know, put it all over. It spreads so much easier when you use a baby wipe, you guys. And like I always say, you know, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of product, so this works so well. And now I cut this maple leaf off on my Cricut. I'm just using my 813 stencil vinyl, and, you know, just measuring it out, making sure that it's nice and centered on the artist panel here, and that it's nice and straight too, of course. And then just smushing it down, and I'm just going to peel up that transfer tape. Just like that. And now I always make sure that everything, especially when I'm stenciling, just make sure that all the edges are down really nice so I don't get any bleeding. And then I'm going to use my white chalk paint, and you can see there that I'm doing my brush strokes away from the edges, not towards the edges, because I want to make sure that I don't have any bleeding underneath that stencil. And then when I remove this, you guys, it comes out absolutely perfect. Look at that, beautiful. So now I'm just kind of roughing it up here a little bit, and you can see I smudged the paint just a titch. But then I took, you know, a baby wipe and I just went across it. I just didn't want to have that ridge that was going all the way around. And then I did this stencil up, or not stencil, but this decal up on my Cricut. And I will try to see if I can find the fonts, you guys. I'm terrible at putting or remembering what the fonts are and stuff. I'm so sorry, but I will try to link the actual decal from my Cricut design space so that you guys can use it for your Cricut. And then if not, we can always I can email you an SVG or a JPEG of it, and you can make it yourself. So I just took a little bit of twine, made a very, very simple bow for the stem of my maple leaf here, hot glued it down, and then just cutting off the excess on the tails. And then I didn't have any little buttons, you guys, anywhere in my stash. No little buttons. So I'm going to use one of these adorable little flowers that I got at the Dollar Tree instead, and just hot glue that for the center of my bow, and that is it. These projects are so easy, you guys, and they're so pretty. I love this neutral fall decor. And now on to DIY number 19. And here is the inspiration piece from Kirkland's, this little box. It was $32, $40 Canadian. And we're going to use these cute little drawers from the Dollar Tree. We're going to use the outsides of them, like the bigger boxes, and we need 3. And taking our antique wax by Folk Art, we are going to give these boxes a full coat. Now, I only did like the 2 outside boxes. I didn't do the inside part of the box. Does that make sense? Like the one side, because it's going to be attached to the next box. And then the middle box, I didn't do the 2 sides. And then the other one, I didn't do the one side. I don't feel the need to waste product if I don't have to. And of course we are using our baby wipe as well. So here you can see I left one side on each box, and those are the ones that are going to be glued together. And using our E6000 and a little bit of hot glue, of course. That's for the immediate hold. The E6000 is for the permanent hold. We're going to smush those together. And do that to the other box as well. And oh, and I missed a spot there, one of the sides, so fixed it up. Now these little planks I got on Amazon as well. I will link them below. I know that you can get those wood planks at the Dollar Tree, but I have not been able to find them. So I just cut off those rough edges of this plank and it was pretty much exactly the same. It might be a little bit smaller than those planks from Dollar Tree, but it worked like a charm. And our ladybug doing her thing. Okay, taking white by Folk Art, and we're going to give this plank 2 coats. And just make sure you get all of the edges as well. We don't have to do the back on this because it's going to be stuck right onto the boxes. Get those edges, girl. All right. So this tissue paper I found at HomeSense. And it is gorgeous. It looks like marble. It's absolutely perfect for this project because in the inspiration photo, you saw that that plank on the front was marble. So my goodness, like it could not be more perfect. So we're just Mod Podging that on and make sure you tap it down. Don't rub it because you will lift up some of that tissue paper. And just make sure that you bring it all the way to the edges with your Mod Podge. Go over top a little bit. And then I just blasted it with my heat gun to dry it a little bit more quickly, only because I'm very impatient. And of course, sand down the edges so that everything is nice and smooth. Now, I did the sanding after I put a layer of Mod Podge over top of that tissue paper as well. And it just turned out perfectly. It looks like real marble. It's fabulous. So just hot glue that plaque right on there. Make sure it's nice and centered. All right, and now for the handles. So taking this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, I'm just going to cut 2 pieces here, and bear with me with this because it's hard to explain, but it turned out really amazing. All right, so taking one of these galvanized hearts that I got off of a Valentine's Day sign, I just cut it into strips. And we're going to use that to recreate some hardware that's going to hold our nautical rope into place on the box. Just lining it up there. See how I wanted it to dangle on the side. And then I cut them again, so obviously each side was a little bit smaller. I'm sorry I do not have the exact measurements because I did have to fiddle with it. But you can see here I'm smushing it down onto the rope so that it takes the shape of the rope. It's very pliable, so it's really super easy to work with, this galvanized metal. And just taking my power drill, I'm going to drill a hole through the metal and into the box because we're going to screw these little metal pieces onto the box. And then it's going to look like little hardware. And grab our little screw here. Place it in there. And take our little screwdriver. Oh. And screw that right into place. It worked like a charm. So you'll do that on each side of the rope, so twice on each side of the box, because you need 2 pieces of hardware, obviously, per handle. And there we go, showing both of them. And then, of course, you would just cut off the excess. What do you guys think? I really want to know. I just love this. I just think that it turned out so well. It turned out so well. I'm totally in love with it. Look at that, you guys. And then of course, on both sides, all done. And of course it took me some time to do that, so I didn't want to show you the whole thing. And now I felt like our little box here needed some legs, so I'm going to take these bigger cubes that I found at the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to use our antique wax and a baby wipe, and we're just going to paint those up so that they match the rest of the box. They have a whole bunch of different sizes of these little cubes now, so, you know, lots of different options for sure. So we'll just hot glue those into place on the bottom. Don't mind my big noggin in the way. And there we go, guys. So now we're just going to fill this with some floral foam. I used mine as a planter, but you could use it for silverware. You could use it for makeup brushes, a whole bunch of stuff. Like, the possibilities legit are endless. And just took these succulents that I found at Dollarama, cut them down to size, and throw them in there. And then we are going to put some of the white rock that I found at the Dollar Tree just to finish it off. I love, love, love this little box, you guys. It's so great. DIY number 20. So this is kind of weird because I wanted to do one of these vases. This one is from my Canada Day video. I'm actually kind of just trying it Tuesday for my own project. So just bear with me. So I'm using one of these cylindrical vases that you get at Dollar Tree and a scarf that you also get at Dollar Tree. I was so drawn to this pattern. Of course, you guys know my favorite color is blue, so this was absolutely perfect for me. So I'm just cutting the scarf down to size here, and we are actually going to decoupage this scarf onto the glass vase. So just cut it down to size. And we're going to use Mod Podge, obviously. Now, because this is fabric, I do use a lot of Mod Podge. It's almost completely saturated, this cloth here. So, you know, just put on a generous amount, smush it down. You'll get Mod Podge all over your hands. But it's totally worth it. And then you can see here, I am going along the top of it as well, just to make sure that it's really good and adhered. And the nice thing about the fabric too is that it's so pliable that you can move it around, you know, if you accidentally move it with your brush, and then just, you know, smooch it right on there. Round and around. And actually with this scarf, I was very lucky because you'll see here when I actually cut off the excess and I put it down, here I'm gonna cut it off. I'm pretty sure we getting there. There we go. So when I cut it off, the pattern almost perfectly matched up on the other side. So you'll see here, like, look at that. It's very, very close. And of course, you know, when you cut it, you'll get a few little stringies. So, you know, I'll just pull them up and cut them off and Mod Podge down and cut off a string and Mod Podge down. But look at that. It literally lined up almost perfectly. And now I flipped it over and I'm just going to cut off the excess on the bottom, and we're going to secure all of that down on the bottom as well with Mod Podge. Just like that. This is really actually super easy. And then once I'm all finished, you know, you let that dry for a couple of hours, you know, however long, and check it out. Isn't that so pretty? Oh my goodness, I absolutely love this. So now for the tumbling tower block portion of this DIY. So I'm taking 12 of the tumbling tower blocks and then one of those little craft cubes that you can get at the Dollar Tree as well, painting it up with my antique wax and then using a baby wipe to take off the excess. So I'm going to paint all of those up. Now, I'm sure there are a whole schwack of creators who have made this little candle stand before. I couldn't find a specific one, but, you know, props to all the creators out there who have actually made a candle stand just like this. And so I'm just hot gluing everything together. You can see it's kind of like in a little X, using two, you know, on top of each other for the base, and then taking one all the way around on each one of the, you know, pieces of the X to create the little stand. I hope that made sense. You can see what I'm doing. Very, very simple. And I think it's so pretty and it fit perfect. Look at that. It fits perfectly. So now I'm just taking some of my braided rope that I get off of Amazon. I absolutely love this rope. You guys know I use it in a ton of my projects. Again, it's just a really pretty, clean rope. I will link it down below and you guys can check it out. But I go around the top of this vase twice with my braided rope. And then I use my little lighter and, you know, get rid of any of the little hairy things that are on the rope as well. So now we are going to make a tassel. So just using this, you know, wood square, I think I got it at Dollarama. And I used some twine from the Dollar Tree, wrapped it around a gajillion times, and just cutting it in half, making sure that the loop is still, you know, intact on the end there, threading a piece of the twine through on the top, and then taking another piece, we are going to wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap all the way around the head, I guess, of the tassel, and secure it down with some hot glue when we're all done. See, hot glue, smush it down, no finger protectors as per usual, and cut off the excess. So there we go. Oh, and then give it a haircut, of course, at the end. There we go. So now with this tassel, I wanted to make it, you know, I don't know, fuzzy or fluffy or I don't know, but I'm just taking a hairbrush and brushing out all of those, you know, little pieces of the tassel so that it's nice and fluffy. I would say fluffy. Now I didn't show it, but I did attach that around the top of the vase, and then taking one of these lovely little laser cut leaves from the Dollar Tree. I finally found them, you guys. I've been hunting and searching seriously, and I just love these. I painted it white, and I'm just going kind of like around the stem of the leaf there, wrapping it in twine, and then I am going to attach it to the tassel. So I just end up kind of, you know, threading it through where the tassel is. I had to figure it out. You can see I'm kind of fiddling with it a little bit and figuring out exactly how I was going to attach it. But I just ended up, you know, wrapping it around the tassel, hot gluing it down so that it was nice and secure and it wouldn't move. And then I do actually end up hot gluing the tassel directly to the vase so that it stayed exactly where I wanted it to be. So there we go. It's so pretty. I absolutely love this, you guys. Check it out. Oh, it's so pretty. And last one, you guys, DIY number 21. And this one, hands down, is my favorite. It's probably one of my most favorite things that I've ever made, ever. Love this. So I took some of the nautical rope that you get at the Dollar Tree and snipped off the end, and then I'm just unraveling it. You get 3 smaller ropes from doing this. And what we're going to do, we're going to weave this rope around the wreath form. So just hot gluing the end there so it does not fray. And I'm just going to secure that to one of the little notches, I guess. So throw some hot glue on there and then smush it down. And what we're going to do here is go over and then under, and then over, and around. And of course, you want to make sure that you hot glue both ends of your rope because it will definitely unravel, and it was like getting all frayed and whatnot. So again, we go around, under, and then over the next one, and then under the next one, and then around. So it gives this beautiful pattern that goes around the wreath form. Now, of course, this is a little bit time consuming and a little bit tedious, but you know, throw on a show and, you know, crafting video, put on your favorite Breeze Arts video. A little shameless plug there, but you know, it's actually quite relaxing. I didn't mind doing it at all. And you just continue that pattern all the way until you're done with that piece of rope. It's really, really simple, you guys. And the effect is so pretty. So here's a close-up for you. Again, over, under, and you can see that pattern. It looks so good. So here I'm just showing you how I ended my rope here, because obviously like the pieces won't go all the way around. So just wrap it around, and then I just hot glued it to itself and just brought it over. And then the next one, obviously, we are going to hot glue the end so that it does not fray. And we're going to attach it to where the other one ended. So you'll see here, eventually, there we go. Just glue it to the, like where the other one would have ended. Throw some hot glue on there. And then literally you just continue your pattern all the way around, and you cannot tell where one rope ends and the other one begins. It camouflages it really, really well. So again, over, under, and around. And you'll see here as I go around that you cannot see where the other one ended. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And you just squish it together. See? Can't even tell. So I did about 2/3 of this wreath form here. And what I'm going to do for the rest of it, just grabbing some of this absolutely gorgeous ribbon from the Dollar Tree with the lace on it, and just hot gluing it around the outside wire here. And we're just going to wrap the ribbon all the way around the remainder of the wreath form. So I did about, like, when I'm going around it, I was very deliberate as to where I was placing, you know, when I was wrapping the ribbon around. So about, I don't know, 1/2 to 1/4 of the lace portion of the ribbon. And then, of course, I ran out before I could get it to the very back. I tried to yank on it, but it was close enough. It worked out. It looks fine. I'm not losing sleep over it. I think it looks really, really good. And that is it for covering that wreath form up, you guys. So now this happy word I got at the Dollar Tree, and that is one of those wood planks that you can also get at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take my antique wax by Folk Art, and we are going to stain these up. So just grabbing a brush and, you know, smooching it on there, and then wiping it off with a baby wipe, and going all the way along that happy word there. And then I did all of the nooks and crannies, the edges, the insides of the letters and whatnot. Now you will notice, because these letters are not solid wood, they're pressboard. And so the outsides, like the edges, are a little bit darker and they really do soak up the stain. But I really liked the effect that it gave them. I loved how this turned out. So we'll do that to our little wooden board as well. And then I do take my sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and I just wanted to stress the edges just a little bit, just to bring them out. So I do that to the wooden plaque and to the word as well, just going along the edges and giving it a sand. And then I used my Cricut and my 813 stencil vinyl and made this little stencil that says fall, and a very, very simple font, and my dabby brush, and dabbed my sheepskin on there, pull off the stencil while it's still wet, and voila, look at that. Love it. So I wasn't completely satisfied with how the sanding block brought out the natural wood. I wanted a little bit more dimension. So just using, it's actually a stencil brush from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just distressing this down on both the plaque and the letters here, so you can see how that pops out a lot better. So now I'm just measuring on the bottom of the P and the bottom of the Y in the center. And we are going to attach these two with eye hooks. So grabbing my power drill, drilling my pilot holes in here, and that again on the bottom of the first P and the Y, and then making sure that it's all lined up with the little plaque there, and drilling the holes in there too. So I'm just going to screw in the eye hooks into the happy first, and then I open the other two eye hooks with some pliers here, and then screw them in. So doing that to both of them, screwing that in, and there we go, and then hooking them on, making sure that it's nice and level. I do use my my cutting mat there to make sure everything's nice and straight, and then just pinch those eye hooks together. Check it out. Oh, I just love this. I just think it's so smart. So cute. Okay, so now I'm taking these little gold hooks that you would use like in the wall to hang pictures and whatnot. Clipped off the one end, and then I'm going to actually screw these on to the back of the happy word, so that you can literally just hook the happy into the nautical rope section, and it will just stay. I didn't want to use hot glue. I thought it would be messy, and I was really scared that it wouldn't actually hold it because it is quite heavy. So this was the solution that I came up with, and then you can change it out, you guys. You can put whatever you want on it. It's amazing. Look at that. It worked like a charm. And now these absolutely gorgeous florals. Like I said, all I could find at Dollar Tree that was fall was floral picks. So these beautiful blue maple leaves, and then these burgundy somethings, I don't even know what they're called, and the cream colored ones as well. Like, look at these colors together. I cannot get over how beautiful they are. I cannot get over it. It's my favorite thing, legit. And so I don't show it, but I just took the stems and I taped them together just with some masking tape. I don't have any floral tapes, so it worked out well. And then I just hot glued it right onto the wreath, and it worked perfectly. And now taking some more of that burlap and lace ribbon, I'm just going to make a very, very simple bow. So folding it over twice and then cutting it off, and then pinching that together, and then grabbing the other piece for the tails and using some twine in the center, just wrap it around and secure it down. Now I do tie it, and then I do use a little bit of hot glue just to secure that all together. Cut off the excess hot glue, make sure it's nice and secure, and floof it out. Then cut off the ends of the bow, and that is it, you guys. We are done with this wreath. It is so stunning. I can't even tell you. I absolutely love it. Please let me know what you think. Oh, so pretty. All right, you guys, if you're still with me, thank you so much for watching. I wanted to show just a little bit more of my Christmas decorations from this year, just because I didn't get a chance to over the holiday season. I was absolutely in love with my decor this year, just really neutral and sparkly and wintry. And of course, I always have to throw in just a little bit of Star Wars into everything. There's Lord Vader. And I just wanted to wish you again a very happy new year. I can't wait for this year. 2022 is going to be amazing. I can just feel it. Thank you so much for all of your support and your kind words. And as always, if you like what you see, do me a solid. Tap that like button, maybe subscribe, tell your friends, you know, all of that jazz. Stay tuned for the gag reel. Bye, guys. 2022. It's going to be such a good year, you guys. It's going to be so good. I know it. I feel it in my bones. Ugh. And I just want bring it up just a titch. Just a titch. Hi everybody, my name is Bree and welcome back to my channel. 2021 has been an amazing year. Jeez Louise. Oh, see? The brightness and then the darkness. Best 21 of 21. So nice to get crafting again. I have been crafting, you guys. Oh my goodness. I took such a break and now just adjusting. Sorry. Ooh. Gotta get some stuff for the old lines. Ooh. Maybe some lift. All good. Looking good, Sawatsky. Looking good. So, wait. Oh, itchy nose. Ooh. Okay, we got it. Bird. Let's jump back in to those DIYs. Ay, ay, ay. You guys are amazing. Just so you know.